Hey everyone, ready to go kind of meta. I mean, we
Yeah.
are literally talking about media today.
Very meta.
It's artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
What is it going to do to creativity?
Right.
And everybody's freaking out about this.
Yeah, they are.
Worried, excited, confused, like, is my job going to be gone?
Right.
So we are tackling this piece called AIOG, Imyan. And for folks who don't read Korean, that means Threats and Opportunities of AI Creativity.
Interesting.
And it's really kind of a deep dive into this whole question of, like, is AI going to, like, make this huge creative renaissance happen, or is it going to just make everything worse?
Yeah, and the timing of this article, I think, is so interesting, right? Like, AI is exploding everywhere you look, but when it comes to creativity, we really don't know what's going to happen. It's like a debate happening right now in real time.
Yeah, for sure. And you know, this author kicks things off by talking about the state of mainstream media and being kind of a bummer about it.
Right.
Like, everything's sequels and reboots, and it's just like originality on life support.
Right.
And that's even before AI gets really involved.
Yeah, I mean, that's a bold statement, but I think there's some truth to it. I'm just thinking about, like, we've got these huge cinematic universes, and it feels like they're more about just, like, recognizing the brand than telling good stories. And then you've got, like, all these sequels that, you know, rarely actually match up to the original, and then, like, rehashed franchises, and even, like, this whole rise of the celebrity author where it's more about the name than the writing.
Absolutely. And, like, how about the music scene? Like, genres are just, like, blurring together and everything kind of starts to sound the same. And then TV show, like, so many shows get canceled after one season. It's like studios are terrified to try anything really new.
Right.
But then into this kind of, you know, creative landscape comes this meteor AI image generators.
Which are a total game changer. I mean, Midjourney Daily, they're so fast and easy to use. I mean, like, a few years ago, if you told somebody that you could just type in a description and get, like, a professional-looking image in seconds, they would have thought you were crazy.
Totally. Yeah. And it's not even just the speed. I mean, like, the article mentions this AI-generated photo that actually won a Sony World Photography Award. Like, if AI can make art that fools experts, shouldn't we just be seeing, like, amazing masterpieces everywhere?
Yeah, that's the paradox, right? Like, we're seeing what AI can do, but most of the stuff that's actually being generated with it is still, well, not exactly, you know, museum-worthy.
Yeah. And this is where this author gets to their main fear. They're worried that the main reason people will use AI is to just make things as cheaply as possible, not to actually help make things more creative.
Right, I get that.
And if you tie that back to what we were saying about how media already is, it's kind of a scary thought. Like, if studios are already just prioritizing profit over good stories, you know, what happens when they've got AI that can just pump out content faster and cheaper than ever before? And the author makes this comparison to CGI. Like, remember when that was brand new?
Absolutely.
Like, early CGI was mind-blowing.
Yeah.
But then it became more affordable, more accessible, and it kind of turned into this overused thing. It often didn't look that great. It was a cheap way to do special effects.
Yeah, it's like they got excited about the tech but forgot about the artistry a little bit.
Right. And they even call out Green Lantern's costume as, like, the prime example of this, like, budget over quality.
Yeah, rough times for Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, we don't need to revisit those visuals.
Yeah, we do not.
But the point is that we've seen this happen before, and now they're worried that AI could do this on a much huger scale.
Yeah, and not just visuals. I mean, writing music, you know, even storyboarding, all of that could be done by AI, potentially.
So this is where things get unsettling. The author is saying, look, AI's here to stay. It's not going away. ChatGPT, everybody's using it in school, in their jobs. But the challenges to the media industry, are you going to use AI to actually make things better? Or are you going to use it to just pump out more of the same stuff, only faster and cheaper?
Yeah, the stakes are incredibly high. And they leave us with this kind of chilling warning. If you go for cheap and easy over quality and innovation, Green Lantern will be just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
Not exactly the most optimistic outlook.
Yeah.
It kind of forces us to confront this question.
Yeah.
You know, knowing how the media world works, all the economic pressures involved. What kind of future do you see for AI and creativity? Are you hopeful or are you a little terrified?
It's a good question, and it's one that we're going to keep digging into, but let's take just a moment to think about that, because the answer might actually surprise you. So that question we left you with about whether you're hopeful or terrified about AI and creativity, it's a tough one. Right before the break, we were talking about how this author's really worried that AI will mostly be used to just pump out cheap content instead of being used to actually make creative work better.
It's a bit of a dilemma, isn't it? Like, on the one hand, You've got these incredible tools that can create stunning visuals and write all kinds of text and even compose music.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, what if they just lead to more of the same old stuff instead of helping artists to create really groundbreaking work?
Yeah, it's like, what's the point of having all this amazing tech if it just makes everything bland and predictable? But the author does bring up a really important point. Humans are still a vital part of the creative process.
Oh, absolutely. Even with all the technology we have now, it still takes so much human skill and artistry and decision-making to create something that's truly unique. But with AI, there's this risk that the human element could get pushed aside or even disappear completely, and that's what's kind of worrying.
It's like if efficiency and cutting costs become the only goals, then where does that leave the artists, the writers, the musicians, all those people who pour their heart and soul into their craft? Are they just going to be replaced by algorithms?
That's the big question, and I don't think this author is saying that AI will necessarily make human creatives obsolete.
Yeah.
But they are kind of sounding the alarm about AI potentially devaluing human creativity. Like, remember that comparison to CGI? It started out as this groundbreaking technology, but then it became associated with this kind of overblown artificial look in a lot of films.
Yeah, it's almost like CGI became shorthand for we spent all our money on special effects and forgot to tell a good story. But this author is suggesting that we could be headed toward a similar situation with AI, using it to just churn out products as cheaply and quickly as possible instead of using it to actually improve storytelling and artistic expression.
It's a valid concern.
Mm-hmm.
We need to be careful that AI doesn't just become a shortcut to mediocrity, prioritizing spectacle over substance.
Okay, so we've talked about the concerns, the potential pitfalls, but AI is here to stay, right? Like we were saying, ChatGPT is just the beginning. So how do we make sure we're using this power for good in the creative world? How do we make sure it actually helps make things more innovative and helps artistic growth?
Well, that is the million-dollar question, isn't it? And I think
Yeah.
it really comes down to this AI as a tool, just like a paintbrush or a musical instrument. It can be used to create something beautiful and meaningful, or it can be used to, just churn out paint-by-numbers replicas. It all depends on how we choose to use it.
So you're saying it's not really about the technology itself, it's about the intent behind it, like whether we're using it to actually help people be more creative or just to cut corners.
Exactly. This author seems to believe that there's a way to integrate AI into the creative process in a way that's helpful, not harmful. Like, for example, they suggest using AI to free up artists from doing boring or tedious tasks. Like, imagine a musician using AI to handle all the technical stuff like arranging and mixing a track that would give them more time to actually focus on writing the music and performing it. Or a filmmaker using AI to come up with initial storyboards, which would free them up to work more closely with the actors and really refine the emotional parts of the story.
That makes a lot of sense. So it's not about replacing human creativity, it's more about giving artists more time and space to focus on what they do best.
And that's where the real potential lies. Think about it. AI can do things that humans just can't. It can process information incredibly fast, it can spot patterns we might miss, and it can generate ideas that we would never even think of. It's not about AI versus humans, it's about AI and humans working together, each bringing their own unique strengths to the table.
So what you're saying is we should be looking at AI as a collaborator, not a competitor.
That's the key. We need to shift our perspective and start seeing AI as a partner in the creative process, a tool that can help us explore new possibilities and push the boundaries of what's possible.
That's a really empowering way to think about it. And if we can embrace that idea of collaboration, who knows what kind of amazing, groundbreaking art we could create. It could be like a renaissance, unlike anything we've ever seen before.
I totally agree. I think we're just at the very beginning of what's possible with AI and creativity.
Yeah.
And while there are definitely potential downsides, there's also a lot to be excited about. It's a really transformative time.
Okay, but let's be realistic for a second. We've talked about how the media is kind of obsessed with sequels and reboots and formulaic content right now. It's all about playing it safe and sticking with what they know will make money. Given that reality, do you really think the industry is actually ready to embrace this more collaborative, innovative approach to using AI? Is there even room for that kind of risk-taking in the media landscape today?
That is the question we have to think about. There are definitely forces in the industry pushing for this purely profit-driven approach, where risk is minimized, and the main goal is just to produce as much content as possible. But there are also a lot of artists, filmmakers, musicians, and writers who are really passionate about trying new things, experimenting, and telling stories that are fresh and engaging. It's almost like there's this battle going on for the soul of creativity.
Wow, that's a really powerful image.
Mm.
And where do you think AI fits into that battle? Is it going to be a weapon for the people who want to keep things the same, or could it be a tool for breaking free from the tired old formulas that are holding creativity back?
That's a great question. I think the answer might surprise you. To really understand where AI fits in, we need to look back at the history of creativity itself and how new technologies have challenged and shaped artistic expression over time.
So we're going back in time. I love it. This is where it gets really interesting. But before we jump into that time machine, let's take a quick break to gather our thoughts. Okay, so we're back. And before the break, we were just about to hop into the time machine.
Yes, time travel.
We were talking about this creative tug of war, the forces in media that want to play it safe versus the folks who are hungry to innovate and push boundaries.
Right.
And the big question is, where does AI fit into all of this?
It is fascinating to think about. New technologies have always kind of shaken up the creative world. I mean, think about the printing press, photography, film, the internet. Every single one of these new things caused both fear and excitement. They changed the way art was made, the way it was shared, even how we understand what creativity even is.
It's like every time there's a new tool, everybody freaks out like, oh, no, this is the end of art. But then creative people figure out how to use the new tool in ways no one ever thought of, and then we get totally new forms of art.
Exactly. I mean, the printing press led to mass literacy and all these new genres of writing. And then photography, challenged traditional painting, but it also gave birth to photojournalism and all these new kinds of visual storytelling. And then film, well, that's a whole other universe of creative possibilities. Right. And then the internet, oh my gosh, it's like creativity for everyone, right? Anybody can share their ideas with the whole world.
So are you saying that AI could be like the next chapter in this whole history of technology changing creativity?
Yeah.
That maybe instead of being scared of it, we should be looking at it as this incredible new tool that's just waiting for creative people to use it?
I think that's a really good way to think about it. AI is not going anywhere. If anything, it's just getting started. So the question isn't whether it's going to change things. It's how can we make sure that the changes are for the better, that it actually leads to, a more exciting and diverse creative world.
Okay, I'm feeling a little more hopeful now. But we're not just talking about art for art's sake, right? This is about the future of storytelling, how we understand each other, and how we make sense of everything that's going on in the world.
Absolutely. It's about way more than just entertainment. I mean, AI has the potential to change how we learn, how we talk to each other, even how we solve problems. It could help us explore complex scientific ideas, create personalized education, and even find solutions to global challenges.
It's like we could be at the very beginning of a whole new era of creativity and innovation where AI is the engine, but it's driven by human things, curiosity, empathy, imagination.
Exactly. But the key is that we don't lose sight of those human elements. As we kind of get used to using AI, we have to keep in mind what it can't do. We can't forget that it's a tool. It's not a replacement for human judgment, critical thinking, and, our emotional intelligence.
So how do we make sure that AI is used responsibly? How do we make sure that it benefits everyone, not just a few people? Because right now it feels like a lot of the power is in the hands of big tech companies and governments.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And it makes it even more important that we have these open and honest conversations about AI and ethics. We need to talk about things like bias and algorithms and jobs being replaced and how we protect people's privacy and data. These are really hard issues, but they're things that we have to deal with as a society.
So it's not just about artists and creators figuring out how to use AI. It's about everyone having a say, right? It's about making sure that AI reflects our values and what we want for the future.
Yeah, I think that's really important. We need to kind of take the mystery out of AI and help people understand what it can do and what it can't do. We need to help people think critically about how it's being used and who's actually benefiting from it.
That sounds like a huge challenge. Are you
Right.
hopeful that we can pull this off?
It's easy to get caught up in all the fear and hype around AI,
Yeah.
but I think I'm optimistic. I believe that humans are really good at coming up with new ideas and being compassionate. I think we can go through this technological revolution and come out on the other side with a world that's more creative, more fulfilling, more human. But it's going to take all of us working together, having these conversations, and making sure that AI is a force for good.
That's a really powerful message and a great note to end on. Thanks for joining us today as we've explored this really complex world of AI and creativity. We've talked about the fears, the potential, and the responsibility we all have to make sure this all goes well. And we'd love to hear from you. What do you think about AI and creativity? Are you excited? Are you worried? Or somewhere in between? Share your thoughts, your hopes, your concern. Let's keep this conversation going. Thanks for listening.